It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want a ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
9 days to the NFL draft, where we finally get to see what the Detroit Lions will be doing on draft night to upgrade this roster. We're all tired of mock drafts. We're all tired of talking about, want to see the real thing. And today, we're going to talk Detroit Lions with my man, Dan. What's going on, Mr. Lions Talk Live?
Just another beautiful day in the neighborhood for everybody who's a Lions fan and prepping for the NFL draft. We're all excited. We're all done talking about it. We're ready to see what's going to happen.
That is hashtag facts, and we're with the man, the legend, Goldberg lookalike, Anthony from Roar of the Lions UK. What's going on, Berg?
Hey, I'm doing well, thanks, guys. Hope you are all well as well. I am like Dan. I am ready for this draft. I felt like I've talked about every single player in this draft forever now, and it's just like, right, let's get there. Let's get the next players. Let's get this build closer towards a competitive team. I'm ready, 100%.
Says that my camera is messed up. It looks fine on my end, but there is other individuals saying it's not, so I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's good to go. There he is. I have no idea what occurred there. On draft night, we're going to be at the Soaring Eagle Casino live for the draft. Myself, Everything King, Dosa Dion, Herman Moore, Chrissy Zavakar, and much more. It's going to be an epic, epic time. We're going to bring in the guys for the StreamYard, and we're going to watch this NFL draft take place step by step by step by step to see what the Detroit Lions are going to do. There has been a huge rumor, and it's really starting to pick up steam, Ant-Man, that the Houston Texans will select Will Anderson instead of C.J. Stroud. This has big ramifications for the Lions. Thoughts on this rumor?
You know that term smokescreen. I see it right now. This I think this is the biggest smokescreen of them all been released by the Texans. I sort of buy into the theory that they're doing this to throw the Colts into thinking that there's going to be their quarterback there at 4 and to not have to move for them because, you know, these divisional rivals love to play around with one another, and the Texans need a quarterback. I mean, well, maybe. I love Davis Mills, but everyone else thinks they need a quarterback. You've got to take one while you're there. You've got pick 12 where you can give this quarterback a shiny new weapon as well. You've got to go after a QB. I think this is just smoke and mirrors before the draft to try and maybe drum up interest for the pick, maybe, you know, cause problems for the guys behind them who are divisional rivals, but I do not buy into it one bit.
What do you think about this rumor, Dan? Do you buy into it? Do you think it's smoke? Do you think it's mirrors? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's BS?
I'm going to say this, Mike. I think it's 70% BS, but with the 30%, let's assume they're trying to drive up the asking price for that number 2 pick. The other part of it, if the 30% is true with this, that means to me they've targeted a quarterback they prefer to get with their second first-round pick. So I think perhaps a Hendon Hooker comes into play that seems a little high for him, or maybe they think Will Levis will be available around there. Whatever it may be, they're doing what they can in the best interests of their team.
I believe I'm kind of with you guys. I think it's smoke. It's hard for me to believe Houston Texans would not take a quarterback when you're sitting at the number 2 selection, the most important position of any football team is obviously the quarterback position, and you have the ability to get the number 2 guy and potentially number 1 on your board right there. You got to do it, in my opinion. Like, what the hell? So it's hard for me to believe. I'm with Ant-Man that this is a legit thing. It's hard for me to believe. But if it is legit, they take Will Anderson, and the Arizona's sitting at 3. Do you believe the hype that the Lions may trade up to number 3, Ant-Man, to select C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio?
I could see it happening. We're in a situation where we kind of can, but I'm of the belief that Jared Goff deserves this year leading this football team. So I would rather go after the development guy with the highest. I'd rather go a Richardson at that point because he's going to sit, he's going to develop, and he can be much better than CJ Stroud. If I'm drafting CJ Stroud, I'm getting rid of Jared Goff, and I don't really want to do that. So I could see them in a situation if someone does get down to 3. I think even if Average is there, I still think there's a possibility they trade up anyhow. I think all options are on the table. It depends what the price of that 3rd overall pick is because, 6 teams want it. Price might be too high, but if it's right, just like it is with all the contracts we've given out to Montgomery, to CJ Gardner-Johnson, Brad Holmes has a price, and if that price comes into range, he'll use it. So I don't think we will.
User listening from Facebook. Appreciate you. Continue on.
No, I'll just say I don't think they will, but that's just my own opinion. They could well do it if the right guy's there and the price is right.
If the price is right, Mr. Dan Barker, do you think the Detroit Lions would actually do this and trade up from 6 to 3 for CJ Stroud? Let me know in the comment section if you think they will do that. Y for yes and N for no. What do you guys think?
So my answer to you, Mike, is look at Jared Goff today coming out in the media saying, hey, he's open to negotiating contract. To me, that's not happenstance. That's not something that just happened today out of the blue. I think Goff and his staff, his agent are aware that they're in a delicate situation. Yes, he's got 2 years left in Detroit on his contract, but this is a business. And if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm looking at what's best for this business. You could get somebody that you believe is really equal to or better than Goff, slightly even, and you can get them for 5 years locked in at a much cheaper value and younger. Anytime you can get even, cheaper, and improve, you probably got to take a look at it. It's not that I dislike Goff. I think he's pretty good. But how much better is he going to get over the next 2 to 3 to 4 years versus if you've identified Stroud or AR-15 or whoever it may be, and you think that player is already fairly close, think about what you could do with that extra $50 million to build the rest of the team.
Jared Goff came out today, Ant-Man, and said that there has been no extension talks with the Lions yet. Thoughts on that? Before you do, I'm going to tell you personally, I don't think it's a big deal. Why? Because he's got 2 years left on his deal. You don't need to do an extension talk with 2 years left on your deal. So honestly, I don't think that affects anything from an unbiased opinion. What do you think, though, Ant-Man?
I agree with you, Mike. I'm not concerned that there hasn't been yet. I think the Lions have shown a lot of faith in him. They've shown a lot of loyalty to him, and providing they give him year 3 to get to the playoffs, keep giving him opportunities. So last year, he showed that he could win this team games and that he could maybe get to the playoffs with us. If in year 3, he shows us that he can get us to the playoffs and can help us win games, that's when you give him the contract extension. If he keeps improving, you keep showing loyalty to him and do it that way. So like I said, there's 2 years left. There's no rush now. See what he can do year 3. And if he can up his game even further, that's when you start talking contract. But until then,
I absolutely agree with you right there. I think that's the correct way to go. But Dan, what do you think? Do you differ from our opinion?
I don't differ from it, but I do believe Goff chose, or his representation chose today to put out a message to try to open up negotiations, to try to get things going. I mean, a lot of this just never happens by just luck of the draw that it's happening a week before the draft. He's aware that where his situation is. He's aware that he has brought stability to Detroit. He's also aware that contracts are now starting to come into play for other quarterbacks. So can he position himself in getting something from Detroit? Detroit is under no obligation to renegotiate or give them an extension this time. But if he can get something from them, that really tells him and his representation where the future is for him in Detroit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal at all. I think we should just be patient. 2 years on a deal, not like it's something that needs to be happening right now. This is not Lamar Jackson. This is not a Jalen Hurts situation where you have to get it done because he just got it done. This is a situation where you can wait a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. I understand the idea, get it done now so you can save money later because the going rate of quarterbacks go up. But at the same time, he's cheap right now, a little over $30 million. So we need to win right now. So we'll keep him at that cheap rate and continue to do our thing here in Detroit. We're going to get into the NFL draft and what we expect the Lions to do. Not what we want to do, but what we expect them to do at pick 6 and expect them to do at pick 18. Ant-Man, what do you think actually takes place? Not what you want. What do you think happens at pick 6?
It's tough because the top 5 picks are just so unstable at the minute. I mean, most years you've kind of got a good grasp of what's going to go on, but you have the extenuating circumstances with Carter. You have this irrational love for Tyree Wilson, which might push him far above where he should go. The quarterbacks are in flux. Who wants what? So honestly, I can't give an answer at what's going to happen at 6 because, as you've said, if Houston don't go quarterback and then all of a sudden they all fall to 3, it's like, well, we might not even pick at 6. We might move. If all the quarterbacks go first, we may end up with a top-end defensive talent. We don't know. And if the quarterbacks, the 3 top ones and the 2 DNs go, do we go corner? I just don't know the other team's plans at the minute. For me, I think we walk away with probably a top defensive talent, probably a D lineman. I do. I think, Anderson may fall. I think Carter may fall, and I think they may be interested in him, but I wouldn't rule out corner as well. But honestly, I don't know.
Dan Mann, what do you think the Detroit Lions do at pick 6?
Trade up. I'd put it in the 80 to 90% probability, as long as the asking price isn't too high. The Lions have built this team so well that there are very few impact positions out there that are going to gravely change the team via the draft this upcoming season. Anderson, Carter would impact the team greatly. So I believe they are aware of this. I believe they're going to make a move for it. And again, it just comes down to what the asking price is. I think there's enough players at 6 that there's not a huge difference between, say, 5, 6, and really probably 13 or 14. So if they have identified that they could gravely change that defense potentially with one of those 2 guys, they're probably going after them.
So he thinks they're going to trade up, maybe to number 3, I suspect, with the Arizona Cardinals to get an impact player. I can see it for sure. It's definitely a possibility. I think it's a realistic possibility. I'm going to go with the Lions draft Tyree Wilson. I think that is the guy who they're going to get. I do believe that they really like him because that seems like a player they would like, somebody that can help stop the run and get to the quarterback. If you look at what they did with Joshua Pascal, they like getting those type of guys that is similar style, and they may like his freakish athletic size and his ability with his long ass arms to stretch and tackle. So I think Tyree Wilson, when I do my final mock draft, there's a great chance that's going to be it there. So I think we're all here. It seems like defensive line seems to be the pick right now as we're looking back now, a little bit more than probably defensive back or anything else. It kind of sounds like it. Now let's go to pick 18, a little difficult because there's obviously a lot of selections in between. Ant-Man, what do you think the Detroit Lions do at pick 18?
I think secondary. I do. If we don't go corner at 6, I think secondary is a move there. And you can go in one of different directions. You can go for corner or you can go for Brian Branch, which is what I would do because, again, as I've said that many times now in the draft process, we don't have many players under contract in the secondary in upcoming years. This is a draft where we need to reload at secondary. We've got some good players here now, but CJG, Mosley, 1 year, it might not work. They might price themselves out of a move. You've got to protect yourself for long-term stability. So there's a lot of good secondary players in this draft. So I'm fully expecting secondary that position. I would really love it to be Brian Branch. So I think secondary all the way, providing that's not the pick at 6. And even if it is at 6, I think they might double dip secondary. So that's where I'm at with it.
So he's going secondary there, looking at maybe DB in Brian Branch or potentially a cornerback like a Joey Porter Jr. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think they're going to do. What is your thoughts, Dan, pick 18?
Let's just assume you're right that Wilson goes 6 to Detroit. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'd put all the money in China down on what they're going to do at 18. That's going to be go for Kalijah Cansey at 18.
So you're going Kalijah Cansey, the defensive tackle there, Pittsburgh at 18 as a potential, place to get that Levi and Wuzurike position settle down since he has not worked out and doesn't look like that. I'm going to go with the twist here. I think that's a possibility, but I feel like Bijan Robinson legitimately could be a selection for the Lions. I know a lot of people may not like that, but when you look at what he brings to this offense and kind of finishing it up, I think that is a real possibility. If he's sitting there at 18, the Lions say, you know what, we're going to take Bijan Robinson. We're going to give this offense a boost even more than what we have seen before. I think that is a real possibility, but I think you guys are right. DB and defensive tackle, absolute possibility at 18 for sure. Now we go into round 2. We got 2 picks there, 48. Ant-Man, thoughts on that?
That's where I go, DT, because I'm a massive Keanu Benton fan. So I think that's where you still go defense. Your linebackers are there, your DTs are there, their needs on your team, go get them. So for me, I'd fix the secondary first, and I'd go for the other guys. And after those first 4 picks, my defense is set. I've got my secondary future guys. I've got the DT I so desperately need, and I've got the coverage linebacker I so desperately need. And then I can just play around with the rest of the draft and do whatever I like. So, yeah, I'd still be looking heavily at defense in these parts because that's where the value is to be had.
Goes ahead and goes defense. He got all levels so far. Defense much improved with 3 starters. Dan, the man, you're sitting there. What do you think the Detroit Lions do at 48?
Well, again, with my thoughts about Wilson at 6, his strengths are currently stopping the run and then getting to the pass. Cansey gets to the pass, so against the run. So I think that would really finish off the line. So here, the second round, I'm going after cornerback. Maybe somebody like Ricks or Emmanuel Forbes, probably at 48. And then the second pick in the first round, I'm going after somebody on the offensive line.
I agree with you. I think it's very possible if they don't get a corner by that time that they could go there. But I think if Osiris Torrance is sitting there, that's a legit possibility at 48 if he falls a little bit. They like Osiris Torrance. They've been to his games 5 times. Osiris Torrance, a really good offensive lineman. You can go ahead and throw him on the right side, and it pretty much ends the debate on what's going to happen at that right guard position for many years. I think that would be a realistic possibility. Now we're at 55, second first-round pick. We got a $10 super chat. So before we talk about the pick, we're going to talk about this $10 super from my man, Josh Jackson. Thank you so much. He says, I'm sold. Let's trade up for Will Anderson. He's a transitional talent. You know what you're getting. Look, I agree. I have absolutely no problem trading up for Will Anderson. I believe in getting exceptional talent, blue chip talent that you don't have to worry about. Just imagine him and Aiden Hutchinson together. Good God, that would be wreaking havoc on QBs. Karen Rodgers would be, he'd be happy he went to the Jets. Kirk Cousins would be like, please trade me, San Francisco 49ers. Justin Fields will say, can I complete a pass? These are the type of things that could happen if you get Will Anderson. I had to throw the complete a pass there because the passing has been atrocious due to their offensive line. But what do you think? Do you think it's realistic, Dan, Lions, trade up to 3, go for Will Anderson if the Texans don't take him?
Absolutely, 100%. I think, we've talked about it in your show prior. We have 9 draft picks. There's no way 9 guys are making this year's squad. And I just don't see it. Who's going to get there and beat out, especially some of the later spots. In the last 2 years, a lot of these draft picks have been able to step into starting roles fairly easy because there were just very little talent on the team prior. That's no longer the case. So I believe we've been accumulating picks just for this purpose, to trade up and get a couple very specific players who are going to be able to step in and help the team. Is it going to be Anderson? Is it going to be Carter? I mean, that's up to see what happens in the draft order. But I believe pick number 2 and 3 are definitely in play for Detroit Lions to trade up to.
Ant-Man, sitting there, do you think that it's really a possibility Lions trade up to 3?
Yeah, absolutely. Brad Holmes has shown that Brad Holmes does not stockpile picks. He stockpiles talent. He gets the best players he can on his board. He's been fortunate in his first 2 years that talent has fallen to him with his first picks. But then after that, he's gone up to get his guys. And I mean, I would rather us give up 2 or 3 picks to get Will Anderson than trade back for 4 or 5 more. because Will Anderson's going to just have a bigger impact on this franchise. It would not surprise me if we traded up to 3 to get him. It would not surprise me if those 2 second-round picks got combined to go even higher to go and get a guy they really liked. And it would not surprise me if those 2 5th and 2 6th-round picks we used to trade either back into day 2 or to the top of day 3. So if you end up with Anderson, your couple of second-round guys, or, Anderson, someone at 18, someone at the end of the first with those 2 second-round picks, 81, and then someone in the 4th with those, you might only have 5 guys, but you're going to have 5 exceptionally talented guys. It would not surprise me if the draft went like that. I could see multiple ones up, but he is not a guy who stockpiles his picks. He is a guy who uses them to get the best talent available.
We just got the comment of the day from Mofo Jimbo. I wish Carter would convert to a Mormon. Then he wouldn't have to worry about him. Oh, my God, that's hilarious, by the way. Hey, you won't have to worry about doing speeding and car crashes and as well as lying to the police. But that one is absolutely funny. Pick 55. We are sitting there. Do you think it's possible if Hendon Hooker is there, if he makes it to 55, Ant-Man, the Lions draft him?
No, I don't. If you're going to go new quarterback for the future, I think you go with a guy who's younger, who you're going to has a higher ceiling than him. I think if you're going to draft Hooker, you draft him to start now. I do. Or maybe like halfway through his first season when he's learned the ropes. I don't think it's instantaneous. I don't think they do. I mean, if you're going to go for your quarterback, go high. You're in a position to go get one high this year. Don't sit and wait for a guy in the second round or third round. It very rarely works. So no, I don't think they would.
We got a question here. So if you got questions, do hashtag Lions, hashtag LNU, hashtag Soaring Eagle. Then you can get your questions answered. We're going to do it right now. Start the mailbag segment, go all the way to 5, and have a good time here. Riley Elder says, hashtag Lions, would you trade the 6th pick for the Eagles for 2 picks? You get there. I think they have the 30th pick, right? Is the 30th or the 31st pick? There's only 31 picks in the first round. So the 30th pick. So would you give up 6 for 10 and 30, Ant-Man?
Yes, because I'm a big proponent of drafting Devon. So I take Devon at 10, I take Branch at 18, I take another guy at 30. I could do that, absolutely. So that'd be something I would do because it fits with who I want to draft at the top of the first.
Would you do that trade, Dan the man?
Assuming Anderson Jr. or Carter aren't there? Yeah.
I agree. I think that would be the assumption there that they were not there. Maybe they wanted Tyree Wilson. If Carter is there, I think they would do it. I don't think they're drafting Carter, guys. I really don't. I don't feel like they're going to go that way, even if he is there. But we'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Says Dan, don't go live a lot. Dan, when do you go live? Tell the folks about your live stream.
So we go live on Sundays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The day before the draft, we're also going live at a liquor store here in Kalamazoo, 6 to 7 to do a pre-draft presser. So if you're in the Kalamazoo area, you want to stop on out, answer some questions, or get some FaceTime, feel free to stop by Stadium Liquor Store.
Stadium Liquor Store to get your liquor quicker with Dan the man. Ant-Man, tell the folks about your channel, Roar to Lions UK, 1000 themselves.
Yeah, as Mike says, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We are a group of fans over here in Britain that support the Detroit Lions for one reason or another. So if you want to get a different take on the Lions from guys from a different country, then please do come and check us out. We go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and we're going to be live every day of the draft as well. So if you want to stop by and say hi during the draft, please do so. Be good to have you.
Brandon McCain, hashtag trade. I'd rather us go back up into the first from the second and have 3 firsts. I like that. I've been talking. That was my very first mock draft I did, was the Lions going back into round 1 and selecting another prospect, having 3 first-round picks. When you got 2 second-round picks, it makes sense. It really does. You got these draft picks. If a guy falls that you like if you're wanting to get a Trenton Simpson, you feel, man, he just may not be there at 48, or whoever you want to get, whoever you covet, do it. I have no problem with that. I think that would be a solid solution because we do have 9 draft picks, and it seems extremely unlikely they draft 9 players in this draft because the talent on this roster is high, and some of these guys are just not going to make the team. I don't think it'd be a smart idea to basically draft a guy to release him. I don't think that's the wisest thing to do. That is my thought process for sure. If you got questions, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Hashtag lines, hashtag LNU, hashtag. Patty Grimes says, hashtag, Mike, will you be Carter's Uber driver? No, I will not be his Uber driver. I live in Holland, Michigan. That is 2.5 hours from Detroit. And I don't want to get in trouble in Holland, Michigan. Really, really don't. We got a $9.99 super chat from my man Eli Shoemaker. Says, thanks for the content, guys. Tight end isn't high on many people's boards, but I'd do Washington there at 48. How'd you feel about taking him another option over the middle for Goff and Mahler in the run game? Ant-Man, thoughts on this super chat? What do you think about the tight end getting Washington at 48?
There's a lot of like luxury picks I'd take at tight end this year, just completely self-indulgent ones. But if you go back to the question about us taking the 2 Eagles picks, and then we've got 10, 18, and 30, I'll go ahead and take a tight end in the first round, right at the end, because I think there are guys with incredibly high ceilings there. I think then you could afford to do something like that. I know if Dalton Kincaid is knocking round down there, then I'm going to bang the door down for that pick. And, if not, I take Musgrave a little later. I just think there's so much talent there. And for maybe Darnell, I don't know if Darnell's there at 30. Yeah, screw it. Take Darnell. Take a couple of corners. Take Darnell. I'd do it. But we'd need an extra pick to do so. Not with any of the current ones we've got. You get that extra first. I'll talk tight end.
What do you think about that position? Getting tight end, Mr. Washington, Mr. Dan?
I liked a lot of the tight ends, but I just think it's incredibly deep. Just sort of like the cornerback class. It's not something I would target in the first couple rounds. Maybe round the latter couple rounds, I'd go after somebody. But I just think there's better value for us in, say, offensive line, defensive line, cornerback, maybe even wide receiver or running back.
Michael Brovert says, hashtag line, start of day 2. Would you trade up for pick 32 through 42? So that would be day 2 right off the beginning there. Yeah, if there's a player falling, I have no problem trading up. Absolutely not. They think I saw Osiris Torrance not going to be there at 48. You know what? I got to make a jump to get this guy because he's going to be a starter for this team for a long time. Do it then. Like, are you going to get upset if no one is even thinking about what we gave up to get Jameson Williams? We just talk about Jameson Williams. He's going to be a stud. We don't talk about what we gave up to give him. Why? Because he's going to be a stud for us. To me, that's the same situation. If you feel like a player is going to be a blue chip stud and he's fallen a little bit, go up there and get it. Not a big deal to me. I think that's the smart thing to go for me personally. What is your thoughts on Jack Campbell? I'm going to give this one to the Ant-Man because everyone knows what I think of Jack.
Yeah, Jack Campbell is a really good player, and I think he's probably one who would fit this team. I just have personal preferences at linebacker, and he is not it, but he is a really good player. So, I figure that he's probably going to be high on their draft board if they're going to go linebacker early, but we know they don't do that, so I don't know. But he's a good player.
Dan the Man, what offensive player will take us over the top?
Oh, if we're going to go with Robinson at running back, that would help. Assuming we can't get Torrance, someone like Steve Avila from TCU is somebody I would target. Maybe a latter second round, early third. It's going to be hard to find a wide receiver that's going to come in and do a lot off the bat. Mm-hmm. The best one I like is A.T. Perry. He's got to develop a little bit. He's got the case of the drops with his hands. But you can't teach 6'5" and 4.43 or whatever it is. He jumps out of the gym, and his radius for catching, that guy can contort his body in the air like few other players. I think he would be excellent value, late second round, early third.
Patty Grimes at 18, would you rather have Robinson or a wide receiver? I'm going to go Bijan Robinson. Why? Because he's going to get a lot more snaps than if you do get a wide receiver. And I think Bijan Robinson's a top 5 talent in this year's draft. He's just a running back, and that's why he could fall a little bit. I think Bijan Robinson would make this play action absolutely nuts. I think if you want Jared Goff to have an outstanding season, you give him Bijan Robinson, and you're going to see Jameson Williams get a lot of touchdowns. It would just make this offense to the next level. It would. And he's so good. Don't just think of him as a running back. Watch his tape, and you will see why your mouth will drop. The guy is freaking absolute nuts good. Really, really good. His cuts are ankle breakers. It does. I'm not saying he's Barry Sanders at all, because I'm not ever going to compare anyone to Barry Sanders, but it does look like it if you watch his cuts and the way he stops, moves his body, and goes. It's absolutely nuts there, Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You take blue chip talent wherever you can find it, especially if it's there at 18. You just keep adding great players. Let other teams stockpile loads of others. We'll just take the great players and we'll carry on with a really good side. So you've got the best 1-2 punch in the league with them two then. I genuinely believe that. So the run game is our strength. Keep adding to your strengths and keep building on that foundation. That's what the best teams do. You will more than likely see the Chiefs this year at 31 add another wide receiver or add another part to that offense. And that's why they stay on top, because they have an offense which is far evolved to everyone else's, and they just keep evolving it. It don't matter if the defense is mediocre with it, because they can still win championships with it. We're based on the run game, power, all that sort of stuff. Keep building on it, keep improving on it, and you will keep winning games. So I would absolutely just do it and carry on going with that if that was the choice.
Bill Rowland says, why does anyone talk about Bijan Robinson be a great defensive asset by keeping the offense on the field and the defense on the sideline? It's 100% facts. Run the football, win the game. He would absolutely do that. It would make it so difficult to stop the Lions on 3rd down or on 4th down, in which we go a million times over. 100%. What happened to Chris Sims, C. Sims? I don't know what he's talking about. His positional defensive end ranked top 5. Williams, Van Ness, Smith, McDonald, and then Anderson. What are we missing? I don't know exactly what player. Am I missing something here? What player is he talking about?
No, Chris Sims is the analyst.
The analyst. Yeah.
The clickbait merchant who's always putting these lists out to get people to retweet it. That's all he's doing. He's causing.
So I don't know who you're talking about. You have to put the name in there because I'm a little bit off on this one. Paul Ginder, $5 super chat, #FGB. What do you guys think if we traded up from 6 to 2nd and 3rd round pick and trade up from 18 to 12 and 13? If we traded up from 6 to 2nd or 3rd round pick, okay, so go to 6 to 3 and trade up from 18 to 12. That's a lot of trading up. I think that would you'd be giving up a lot of assets to make 2 moves like that. I think that's a little bit overkill. I get it. Thank you for the super chat, but I think it's a little bit overkill. Just a little bit. What do you think, Ant-Man, on that?
I mean, I would rather, like you said, we've got 9 picks. If I can trade up and just walk away with this draft with 4 players, like really, really good ones, and I've traded up for them, I'll do it. That's 4 more elite players for my burgeoningly really good side. So if you were to go up to 3, get an elite player, go up to 12. I mean, hell, imagine if you walk away with Will Anderson and Devon Witherspoon falls as well. You walk away with those 2 guys from the 1st round, and
that would be crazy.
Exactly, and then those 2nd round picks, add 81 to one of those 2nd round picks, get into the end of the 1st again, get another elite player, and then that other 2nd round pick, tack on a couple of those 5s, move up again, get another guy, and then just fill out the end of your roster at the end of the draft with a couple of special teams guys, whatever minimal needs that you need, development guys. That would be an insanely good draft. You will have less players, but you will have a much better team for it. So I would quite happily do multiple trades up. Maybe not 6 and 18, but 6, those 2nd round picks, all the day 3 ones, merge them, go up again. I'd very happily do that if it means I'm getting much better players.
If Bridgewater hasn't signed yet, do we want him here? It's probably he's just weighing his options. He's got a contract given out. So I don't know what's going through his mind. So that's something you would have to ask him. But maybe he's seeing what the Texans do. If they don't draft a quarterback, maybe he's like, you know what, at least I'll have an opportunity to really get some starts over there. Other than that, maybe he's waiting for an injury to happen at training camp. That's a possibility. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with Bridgewater, but I know the contract's out there, but I don't know what's going on with him. Wayne Shurik, #Lions effing up of North. I say Destiny brought us Sewell. Yes. I believe Destiny got us Hutchinson. Yes. If Destiny's landed us Will Anderson and Robinson, Wayne Shirk, if that happens, then I'm doing backflips. And I can't do backflips. I'm telling you right now. I've had a double neck fusion. My spine is jacked. But I'm gonna do backflip if Destiny does this 3 years in a row. What would you do, Dan? The Lions get Will Anderson and Bijan Robinson in round 1.
I'd be probably trading a 3rd round pick and one of the 2nd round picks to come up into the latter part of the 1st round and get Torrance for the offensive line. And with the other 2nd round pick, I'm probably targeting a linebacker, not Campbell. I think he'd be okay going north to south. I think he's okay in zone coverage, but we don't play a lot of zone coverage, so I don't think he'd fit well in our scheme. So maybe someone like Sanders.
Mike always nailing it. Of course, it was Christopher Sims. So it was Chris Sims. I was like, I don't know anyone. Am I missing something? It happens. No one's perfect. But yeah, I was thinking Chris Sims. He said that he liked Levi Uzurike over, I think it was Barmore 2 years ago. That didn't work out so well. Riley Elder, #Lions, thoughts on using the first 4 picks on defense? It seems unlikely. I don't think that's going to happen because you do need help on offense as well. You do need guard. I think guard's going to happen in the first 4 picks. Because if you look at the Big V contract, booty cheeks, he's not getting paid diddly nothing. When it comes to the other guard that we picked up there, he ain't doing nothing. So I think they're going to get a guard in the first 4 picks. I think you have to. What do you think, Ant-Man?
My mock had 4 defenders early on because I think that there are still holes to fill. Like I said, there are long-term pieces we need to put in there because we don't have long-term depth at a lot of positions. And then there's a couple of critical pieces we need elsewhere. So for me, I'd quite happily spend the first 4 on defense if that was the way we were going to go, because then I'm set. Really, I am. I've got the young core. I've got plenty of young talent in there. I've got long-term reassurance at most positions. I'm really happy with that. So I would do that. I really would. And then I will pick development guys for my offensive line later on. Because don't forget, we got Glasgow and Vaitai this year, so you don't need to throw a right guard in right away. You can get tackles in, you can give them a year in the system, get used to it. You've got a great O-line coach here and develop them long-term. So I'd do it that way, me.
Michael Brevoort says, can you tell me about running back McBride, whom a lot of mock drafters put into the Lions now? I've noticed that trend. A lot of balance and break tackles. Around would he go? What do you think about that, Ant-Man, about McBride? Because I've seen a trend for sure.
See, I saw someone have him mocked as running back 3 in this draft the other day. I can't remember who it was now, but it was a national analyst, had him mocked as running back 3 after Jameer Gibbs. And I was like, I disagree highly.
Yeah, highly disagree.
I think, and why there's no receiving there whatsoever. He is a non-factor in the receiving game. And in this day and age, you kind of got to have that to be one of the top prospects coming out. As a running back, I love him. A power back. Got some of the best instincts you'll find as a running back in this draft. And he's just had an incredible season on a not-so-great team. And, guys who sort of flourish in those systems, I really like. So as a running back, I think he's really good. I don't think he's running back 3 in this draft, though. Would I be upset if we got him? No, not really. I think he'd be a very good complement behind Montgomery, but I'm more an Israel Abanikanda fan for the same reason. I think he's a bit above him in the standings, but he's a really good running back in his own right. So give him that, but he's a complete non-factor in the passing game, which is the problem.
Zach Charbonnet, disrespect. That's disrespectful. Come on, man. The dude's a damn good freaking running back. And yeah, he needs to get a little bit more love there for sure. If from the Dern, my guy, the Dern, if Shroud is there at 6, are you tempted to take him? I'm tempted. I'll take him. If he fell to the Lions at 6, look, guys, I know you don't want a quarterback. A lot of people don't, but this is called BPA at this point. If Stroud fell to 6, I don't know how you pass it up unless there's a Will Anderson or something. But that means one of these guys, that means those guys are gone if he fell. Okay, that's what it means. Or somehow Will Anderson went ahead. That's what it would mean. I would take him. What about you, Dan, and then Ant-Man on that one?
I think the first thing you got to do is you got to get the Lions war room some extra people to handle the phone calls because their phone's going to be blowing up. If he falls to 6, you're going to get tons of trade offers. With that being said, Mike, it's a business. It's about, running the ship for just not now, but the future. We all like Goff, but if he's there, if Stroud's there at 6, and you really got a high grade on him, you probably got to look at taking him because you get younger, you save money, and the future looks brighter. You're going to be able to keep a lot more talent for 2 or 3 years around whoever's at quarterback if you have that lesser contract.
To me, it's all about BPA, right? Best player available. You don't pass up on it. If that falls, it's BPA to me. Ant-Man, what is your thoughts? If somehow Stroud fell to the line, there's just no way. I don't see it happening. But if some crazy luck happens, would you select him?
So to put this into context, now the top 4 quarterbacks, and I'm probably pretty much on my own here. He's at the bottom of my 4 in terms of preferential 1 here. And even then, with me thinking like that, if he's there at 6, you have to take him. You do, because you're not losing anything by getting him. I mean, I think he's a quarterback who maybe should start right away, but I would bench him and sit him a year and use him a bit here and there. I would do it. And as I say, he's at the bottom of the 4 at the top in terms of personal preference for me, but you cannot pass that opportunity up if he's just sat there. It'd be the same with Richardson. If he's sat there, I just couldn't pass him up, I don't think. So you take the guy who's there.
I agree with that tour here. There's no way he dropped. There's just no way.
No.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, God, just an interesting picture sent to me. And it was a great one. Really good picture. And it's trying to throw me off my game right now. And if you're listening to this and you just sent me that picture, you're a son of a bitch. Oh, man, that's all I got to say right there. But I agree. Oh, man, that is an interesting one. Hard to get back on that. But we're going to do it right now. Eli Shoemaker with a $4.99 super chat. Thoughts on why we seem to be seeking more cap space? I believe we're a little over $27 million right now, and rookies can cost more than $12 million to sign. I think for great question, by the way, Eli Shoemaker. Absolutely great question here, and I'm going to pass it because I got to respond to this picture that was just sent to me. I think that they could, after the draft, make a move, right? Like if they didn't get somebody they want, and I think Ant-Man talked about this earlier, they can make a move, whether it be before the trade deadline or whatever, to beef up a position. If they're like, we're one player away from making a legit run. I think that's a possibility. That's what they're doing here. Ant-Man, what do you think?
I think they're giving themselves options, like you said, Mike. Now, 27 million sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? But as Eli said, about 12 million for your rookie class. If you're going to trade up into the first round again, that value might go higher. So you're already down to 15 after that. Teams generally keep 5 to 10 million free for the season, for injuries, for in-season moves, stuff like that. You've got to have a war chest available in free season, because you forget these last 2 years, Brad Holmes has had to restructure players just to get us through the season because we've not had money. So you will have that bank there. Then you've got to pay your practice squad. Then you've got to fill out your roster. Then, if we need Teddy Bridgewater as a backup quarterback, you need the money for him as well, because it'll probably only be a 1-year deal. It'll probably be $4 or $5 million. So your money goes very quickly. So you need this sort of a cushion here to give you that in-season balance that we've not had. So I don't think it's stockpiling for a big player. I think it's just keeping us ready for the season if injury hits and we need something in that regard. And if we don't use it, great, we can roll it over to next year when we've got shed loads of cap to use.
And that's a great point as well. He makes 100%, and that could exactly be it. Injury concern, we got money, we're good to go. What do you think, Dan the Man?
Well, I think Ant-Man's 100% on that. You're going to have more options in this offseason plus the regular season than Brad Holmes has had in the past 2 years. The other part is the further we get into the season, can he now start restructuring some of the rookie contracts that are coming up or expiring contracts after the season to lock in some players, something he wouldn't have been able to do last year or the season prior. So again, this just gives Brad Holmes and the team a lot of flexibility to be able to move either for the current season or to lock in some players for the future. For
sure. Got a question here from Michael. Again, he says, with the new NFL cut down from 90 to 53, and if you didn't know, it's interesting. It's not doing lower cuts. It's going from 90 to 53 now. Players don't have additional cap space to sign them. So what do you think how that's going to affect that, Ant-Man? Because if you didn't know, it's not doing like, okay, we're going to 70 or 60. It's going from 90 to 53 now.
So I believe the way the cap works is only the top 53 contracts are included in your cap, aren't they? So all those guys 53 to 90, it's not you cut them all, then you've got loads of cap free because of what you save from them. You've only got your top 53 contracts on your books. So I don't think the cut down affects it in any way, shape, or form. I don't like it, the actual cut down of just one, because in the previous 2 years, Brad Holmes has done some of his best work during those cut downs, because sometimes players get released, you can get in there. Now you're going to have this kind of free-for-all frenzy when all the teams chop their players in one. You got like 1,000 players going to get cut in a day, and it's going to be mad. Prices are going to go through the roof, and yeah, I don't like the format of it. But as far as money goes, those 90 to 53 don't count against your cap anyhow, so you don't get any extra money when they're all cut.
What do you think about that new rule, Dan, affecting the Detroit Lions with that? It's going to affect every team, obviously. But what do you think the effects will be?
I think a lot of rookies who are signed that get cut, I think they're going to love it, because if they pick up with another team, they're going to get a significant boost. You look at James Houston last year. That'll be one of the problems we face in just about a year from now, in that his rookie contract was voided because he was cut, then re-signed. So instead of being, I think, a 4-year deal, it's now down to 2. So players like him that come on now, get signed by somebody, and outperform expectations, I mean, they're going to get paid a lot faster than they would have otherwise.
I don't like the new rule because as a content creator, it's going to make this day very, very long when it does get cut down. There's going to be, oh my God, I got to make a ton of videos here with this player getting cut, because it's not going to happen all at one time. It's going to be throughout the day, and I guarantee you people are going to be going ape. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at Mike85 or Mike Kimber, and Roar to Lions UK. They're on Twitter as well. Dan the Man as well for the latest breaking instant news. That's not videos. You're going to want to follow us on there, because that's when something happens and we don't have the instant to make a video that minute. So follow all of us on Twitter. That would help you out with the latest information that does occur. If you got any more questions, keep putting it in the comment section. It says, would you trade 6 for 7, 38th pick, in like Renfro Vegas if Stroud dropped 4? Vegas would buy high to have Stroud behind the gap. So Stroud there at 6. You're like, you know what? We're going to trade from 6 to 7 and pick up the 38th pick. So we get the 38th pick. They get CJ Stroud. Is that worth it? I don't know. I like trading down, but I may just take CJ Stroud at that point just because it's a BPA type of thing. And the odds of him being there just seems so damn unlikely. Whew. And they keep getting this damn picture. And so what do you think about this, Ant-Man? Very difficult to concentrate.
I feel like I'd be getting ripped off. A second and Hunter Renfro is not much for that. I'd really be, if they really want him that badly, I'm going to fleece the ever-living daylights out of them. This is right. You want it, or we'll give it to the Titans. So I feel like I'd be pushing a lot harder bargain than that, because at the end of the day, it's not like we don't need the quarterback. I can just go ahead and take him. So unless you're going to give me an offer that really blows me away and makes me think twice about it, then he's coming to the Lions. So no, I'm getting incredibly shortchanged by that deal, and I would not take it.
The picture is going to get a reaction here. It's called a
Oh my God!
And it's going to get a
Ultra Combo Breaker!
one more.
Ultra Combo Breaker!
Let me see if I can do one. Let's do a finish him. This deserves it right here.
Finish him.
Because it just finished me off. Here, hashtag FGB. Thoughts on Rodgers staying in Green Bay? He's not going to be staying in Green Bay. There's no way. He's gone. He's going to be a Jet, or he's going to retire. What do you think about that, man?
I would love him to stay in Green Bay. I want that contract to ruin them for as many years as possible, and I don't fear him like I used to anymore. This team doesn't fear him like they used to anymore. So for me, I'd personally like him to stay and get his ass kicked by us for a few more years. But like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. But the best thing for us is if Green Bay's in financial trouble, and that's with him there. So I want him to stay.
What do you think about that, Dan the Man, with the Aaron Rodgers situation?
It's just more drama out of Rodgers. It's not good for the Jets. It's not good for Green Bay, but it is good for the Detroit Lions. If he were somehow to remain in Green Bay, nobody wants to play for him. Nobody's going to want to coach him. You know, he's burnt those bridges to the ground to ashes. And you can imagine players, especially the offensive line, trying to rally and protect that guy. I get they're professionals. I get it's their job. But if that season starts going south early, I think you're going to see Rodgers get, just creamed. Nobody's going to want to block for him, let alone run routes for him.
All I got to say is, God damn it. Oh, my God. So here we oh, my goodness. You have no idea. If you got any more questions, let us know in the comments below. Says Mike, hit the likes. If not, hit the Ultra Combo. Did do the Ultra Combo there for sure. Aren't we like 11 or 10 days away from the draft? 9 days away. We are 9 days away from the NFL draft. It is so close. Let me get to this one first. Overtime 3-3. Hashtag fuck F the Bears. Oops. Say we trade up to 3 and Will Anderson, he's already taken off the board by Houston. Do we go ahead and take Stroud if they trade up for 3 and Will Anderson's not there? I think it would be for Houston. Now, I think Dan may disagree. It could be for Jalen Carter. But what do you think? If Will Anderson's gone, we trade up to 3, what do you think it'd be for there, Dan the Man?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I get not everybody's sold on Carter, but the only way I believe we're trading up to 3 is if Anderson's there, or when Carter came in for his interviews, he just knocked the ball out of the park, so to speak. I mean, this kid's got some red flags, and you really are going to have been sold by him that what happened with the racing and everything else was just a blip on the radar. It's not who he is. So if he's done that, we all have to believe that Brad Holmes and Campbell are wise enough to say, hey, we're good to go with this kid. We're going to go ahead and get him. But if he didn't do that, then I just don't see, if Anderson's off the board, there's any way they're trading up to 3.
What do you think about that, Ant-Man?
After everything that's gone on through the draft process, and that we're a week away from the draft pretty much, there are only 2 guys I would trade up for now. If it's not Will Anderson, then it's AR-15. He's the only one I'm trading up for there at that point. So, yeah, that'd be the only way I'd do that. And, that'd be a great opportunity. If the price was right, I'd do it. But I just think Goff is our starter for now. He needs to sit. He needs to develop, and he's a massive ceiling. That's what this team, the quarterback this team needs in terms of, he's not going to start right away. So if it's not Anderson, it's AR-15, and that's kind of it for the trade-ups for me.
James Buchanan says, hashtag FGB, the way it's looking like a change in the draft from quarterbacks in the first picks, do you think you would Bijan at 6? In my opinion, he's the best player in the draft. I've had this debate with my good friend TA from Raw Podcast. He does a lot of Detroit Lions content. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. I like Bijan Robinson. I want to take him at 6. That is my personal preference. I think it's a little bit early for me. I think there's other prospects I would look at, probably specifically the defensive line. But that is my personal preference. Man, Bear Pig, you already know that's facts. What do you think about Bijan at 6, Dan? And then we'll go to Ant-Man.
I think it's a little high. I can see him going off the board around anywhere from 10 to 20. At 6, I just think you're going to be able to get better value from other spots. I like Robinson a ton. I agree. I think with you, Mike, that he would change the offensive schemes. So I guess if you're going to say that you don't feel you can get him at 18, then maybe you're tempted to go after him. But I just do think you're pushing the envelope a little bit at 6.
What do you think about that one, man?
If the team did it, I wouldn't complain. I don't know if I would personally do it. I do really like him, but I think I've said I would in the past, but I think I've sort of over time thought about it and I probably wouldn't. If you were to trade up and get him, then fine, but maybe not 6 for me.
Look, Bear says you don't draft a quarterback unless you're sure he is better than Jared Goff. Well, I feel you. You never know really with quarterbacks in all honesty, but if you feel like he's a franchise guy, and I believe this, you draft a quarterback, but if you believe he's not, he could just be I pass on it. So I feel you 100%. If you think he's better than Jared Goff, I have no problem. But if you think the quarterback is Goff level or worse, I wouldn't draft it. What's the point? You already got a Jared Goff. It's not like he's old. He's 28 years old. So I'm kind of with you there. But again, it can be a crapshoot in the draft. I don't think anybody knew that Patrick Mahomes would be Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen would be Josh Allen, or Karen Rodgers be Karen Rodgers. So it's just one of those things where you just got to go with your scouting and your GM. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about what I say, what Ant-Man says, what Dan says. Just go with what your gut's telling you and the work you did there when it comes to the quarterback position. What do you guys think Ford Field is revealing on Thursday? It could be new helmets. Very much it could be new helmets because they are doing alternate helmets. Or it could be the new field that they've put in there. So it could be two of them. What do you think, Dan?
The new field. I think, they're trying to do everything they can to get it ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
The players really want it. The players around the league, not just the Lions, do not like the surface at Ford Field. So, the better this team gets, I think the Ford family, or, whatever you want to say the Ford family is, I think they're trying to take better and better care of the players and give free agents or people that, the Lions are targeting in the draft or wherever it may be, a reason to want to come here and play.
What do you think about that? Helmets going to be the new field?
Bronze statue of Tim Boyle for you to go and worship when you go there.
That's over there in Chicago, man. Come on. That's in Chicago.
I think it's helmets. And
yeah.
I think it's gonna be a nice new black style helmet in preparation for our nice new black unis next year. So that's my hot take on that. I wish they'd do it at the same
time. I wish they would just, you know what I'm saying? Get the helmets and the unis at the same time. I want to be teased. Use a 6th rounder on a quarterback, Max Duggan or someone like that, become a decent backup. I have no problem with that Lions Den. I'd even do 5th round as well. There's good quarterbacks out there. Max Duggan's one of those guys. Jake Haener, you got DTR, a good quarterback out there. I think there's players that you can get and develop. Doesn't have to be a 1st round pick. You just got to be able to have a good quarterback coach, a patient a guy willing to learn. And I think if you do that, you can get lucky. We've seen it before. We have seen it before. Brock Purdy was a recent example. So it's very possible. The odds are much less. It is much less, but I have no problem doing that. No problem. Ant-Man, we're almost done. Tell the folks about your channel. What is going on for the future of the draft and everything for you guys?
So yeah, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. Again, group of guys over here in Great Britain who love to support the Detroit Lions. If you want to come and get a different take on them from guys from a different country, please do come and give us a check. We will be live all throughout draft weekend, all 3 days. So even if you want to just swing by for a little bit, say hi, introduce yourselves, please do. We've got a lot of guests on. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And just looking forward to the next draft for Brad Holmes. So yeah, please come and give us a chance if you do.
Dan the man, tell him about your channel.
Lions Talk Live. We try to break down during the season all the game video, give you guys some different perspective on route running, whatever it may be. And then the day after, we do a deep dive into what made the Lions click or fall apart. Day before the draft, if you want, you can come on out to Stadium Drive Liquor Store in Kalamazoo. We're going to do a live pre-draft experience from 6 to 7 p.m. Stop on out and come out and throw some questions at us about the draft.
Getting close to the draft, folks. Getting real close. With that said, folks, adios.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour. Take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder. Work until you're prouder. And all the doubters, they're just young downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm popped off at these fucking clowns who were up top, they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I win.